Okay, this is just basically going over normalisation. It's nothing we haven't really spoken about before. Get this sorted. So it's more about talking about normalisation, and basically when we talk about the word normalisation, you'll come across it quite a bit probably in the exam. Something what I reckon likely to come up. When we use that word normalisation, essentially it's a changing from Anglo-Saxon to Norman. Okay, so it's that transition. What William did when he became King of England. He didn't change everything, and we'll go through some of that on the back of the sheet after this quick run through. But he did change a few key things which show you about normalisation. So the first one's about the church then. So the church was used to strengthen Norman control all over England, as the church spread messages about the king and how God favoured him during the Battle of Hastings, while the church was a major landowner. So the main important thing there, it spread messages about the king and how God favoured him during the Battle of Hastings. So remember, as you know, in this period, people were very highly religious, and the church played a vital role in spreading messages and controlling society. So essentially, he put his friend Lanfranc in charge, who became the leader of the church in England on behalf of William. So by doing so, his friend Lanfranc told the other bishops and people who were part of the clergy, which is different elements of, the people who are make up and deliver church services. Essentially, Lanfranc told them that you need to make sure that you say positive messages about William, as he was the rightful winner of the Battle of Hastings and God favoured him. So he clearly wanted William to be King of England. Okay, and also the fact is that the church is a major landowner. You know, land equals power. So the church is actually quite powerful, can own so much land. Furthermore, the church enhanced the king's powers, as William made the clergy swear loyal to him and not the Pope. So, while William made key decisions regarding the church, and William appointed a successor of a bishop if they died. If you disobeyed him, you were sacked. Okay? So, he controlled a lot of the church, and this is an important one here. William made the clergy swear loyal to him and not the Pope. Again, it shows you how he exerted his power and control over society. But the fact is that he made sure that people were loyal to him and not the Pope. If you're part of the church in this period, you would essentially, the person you responded to is the Pope. So, now I'm going to talk about the feudal system. Essentially, it's just a class system. Okay? So, when we speak about the class system, essentially, like in modern society, it's like upper class, middle class, lower class, and very much it's just about how he laid out kind of the feudal system. So the feudal system allowed William to have an army without paying for it. William granted people, tenants and chiefs, land on the condition they provide troops when he asked for it. Okay, so and a tenant in chief is someone like an earl or a knight. And they said that you can have this land, but if I ask for troops, you need to give it me. So at the top was the king, and a tenant-in-chief, a landowner, knights and peasants. And like we broke down there, a tenant-in-chief is like an earl or a knight. A tenant-in-chief is basically someone who controls large chunks of land. So the nature of feudalism. The king owned all the land, and William introduced the relief system. So the key message there, king owned all the land, and introduced the relief system. This is where the earl died, and the son or heir had to pay to retain the land. Okay, so essentially, you're not guaranteed to inherit the land straight away. Instead, you had to pay a small amount of money. So William would reward those by allowing them to pay a small relief, but those who were disobedient had to pay high ones. So essentially, it was not guaranteed you'll get your land. So if you misbehaved and didn't follow the king's rules, when your father died, your child or son or heir had to pay an extortionate amount of money to get it. Okay? But it was another way of showing power and collecting money. Okay. Homage also is the idea of swearing loyalty as an oath to the king. So you swore loyalty normally on a holy relic like the Bible. And basically, if you broke that oath, you end up in hell. Labour service, when a peasant works the land for a lord, And forfeiture, if a land user did not provide the service as expected, they were punished by losing their lands. Okay, so forfeiture just means forfeit. Essentially, you lose what you have. Simple. Okay, so now we're going to talk about the Domesday Book. So the Domesday Book was a record of what everyone owned in the country. It had three main significances. So for example, financial. Many of William's tenants and chiefs enjoyed special deals that meant they didn't have to pay geld tax on some of their lands. Okay. Essentially, he wanted to change this to make everyone pay tax. So, the legal significance then. The Domesday Book includes many cases of Anglo-Saxons claiming that land of theirs had been taken from them. The Domesday Survey were made as fairly as possible, with all the key people in each 100 having a chance to say who really owned what. The 100 is just a section of land, or an area of land, like a bit of land. Military service. The council that William held about the Domesday Book was primarily called to discuss ways to counter a new Viking invasion in 1085. Although problems in Denmark meant the invasion never happened, William took the threat extremely seriously, bringing 1,000 soldiers over Normandy and housing them with landholders all over England. Essentially, needed to find land and space for his troops. Perfect. Okay. And the last little bit about Normanisation is the office of the sheriff and the demise. So the office of the sheriff is directly from the king. So the role of the sheriff was to collect tax of the king and hand out justice on his behalf. There was resentment against the sheriff and the Normans, as they were entitled to share the revenues they collected. This led to them over collecting tax and land grabbing to gain more wealth. Okay, but essentially it shows you the lengths that William went to try and control as much as he could and get as much wealth out of the country as he could. Because why else would he give them, the office of the sheriffs, a percentage of the money they earn? So entitled them to basically go out there and get as much money as they could. Right, so that's a quick overview about some key aspects of Normanisation. So you see that word Normanisation, these are the type of things you should be talking about, which are the office of the sheriff, Domesday Book, feudal system, and the church.